Cowboy. Some people call me the gangster of love. That's right, the Space Cowboys. We are going to be talking about the Sugarland Space Cowboys, Jose Siri versus Jeremy Pena, and is tailgating a baseball thing? I think in Houston it is. Put the seatbelts on, boys and girls. Rip Griffin's joining me tonight, and we're going to have a great show.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Heisman and Brett Htown Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we are your daily Astros podcast. I'm Htown Wheelhouse, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Htown Wheelhouse. You can find the show at Locked On Astros. We're your team every day. You can also find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros. And in the absence of Eric the Man Heisman, I figured I'd bring in another awesome guy that loves to come in and fill in. He's a good friend of the show, Mr. Rick Griffin. Tell us where they can find you and where they can find your podcast.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Rip Griffin3. You can find the podcast at Rip Griffin Show, also on Twitter and on Facebook as well.
Awesome, Rip. Thank you for joining us. You know, this whole show was going to go a completely different direction. I was going to speculate, what is the name of the team going to be? And if I might pat myself on the back a little bit, back in June of last year, I broke the news that the Sugarland Skeeters were going to be changing their name. Both you and I are wearing Sugarland Skeeter hats, ode to Swatson. You know, much love. Rest in peace, brother. I love your baseball podcaster shirt, by the way. I'm totally jealous of that. That's great. I love it. You know, I just wear our logo and people are like, what is that? No, I'm joking. It says podcast, but I digress. But, you know, I knew it was going to be a space theme. You know, I really thought it was going to be like Apollo's or Saturn's or like, you know, something with a knot. Or actually what I was afraid of, I was actually afraid of it being the Sugarland Astros, because the Oklahoma City Dodgers are the AAA team. And then I started thinking, wait, but the Oklahoma City Dodgers are really far from LA. I don't think they would name a AAA team the Astros right in the Astros backyard. It would kind of create some confusion. So we've got that to talk about. We're also going to talk about another topic that wasn't even on the docket tonight. Towards the end of the show, we'll leave it to the end to leave the people hanging, like a good show would. Carlos Correa has changed agents, and maybe he listens to Locked On Astros or even the Rip Griffin Show, because I know we've talked about why doesn't he have a certain agent. We'll talk about that. So, guys, thank y'all so much for tuning into Locked On Astros. We appreciate you making us your first listen every single day. We here at Locked On Astros pride ourselves in returning listeners. And if you have downloaded our podcast on your phone, if you have subscribed to the show, we want to thank you from the bottom of our heart for doing that. But we want you to take it a step further. We want you to tell 3 friends. I want you to tell 3 friends this week about Locked On Astros. Spread the gospel of Locked On Astros. It is something that Eric and I love to do, and there's never a dull moment here in town. So let's get started here with the Sugarland Skeeters. So there you go. Even Rip even has it on his phone. Thank you. You know, Rip supports us. We support him. That's what podcasters do, right? So,
Absolutely.
guys in the chat, we'll get to the Carlos Correa stuff towards the end of the show. So if you want to bring back those questions towards the end, or remind me, Rip, that we had Samuel at Dorothy, Jay Roberts, some guys asking, some ladies asking about that. But Sugarland. So back in June, I was talking to someone at the stadium. I was sitting in the press box, and I had a conversation with somebody. Don't really want to say who it was, and I had just bought my wife a Skeeters hat, and he said, "Well, that's going to be a collector's item." And I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Because they're changing their name." And I found out then, and I guess I can say this now because they've revealed the name change already. Jim Crane did not like the Sugarland Skeeters name. He wanted to get away from it. He wanted a space theme. He wanted to embrace the space theme for the Houston area. Now, I'll tell you why I don't mind Space Cowboys, because it made me immediately think of that that movie. It wasn't a great movie. The Space Cowboys with the older astronauts going up. Tommy Lee Jones, maybe it was Clint Eastwood.
Clint
Those guys.
Eastwood.
Yeah, Tommy Lee
Gosh.
Jones. Who else
Mhm.
was in there? But that's what I thought of right away. I thought of the Space Cowboys. I honestly didn't think about the Dallas Cowboys. Like, I get people like, oh, but this is a minor league club. I think they could have gone with the Imperial Sugars. I
Oh
think they
yeah.
could have gone with the Sugar Cubes. I mean, because you've got the Mobile Biscuits, you got some really odd names out there, some really fun names. But I think Space Cowboys, you can have a lot of fun. What do you think about the name change, Rip?
It's gonna take some time to get used to, but as it starts to kind of sink in and we start to, you know, the Skeeters name is now gone. We start to incorporate Space Cowboys. It fits the area of Sugarland. It fits Houston. It's NASA's there. I mean, you of course, I mean the Astrodome. Everything is space related there, and it'll fit. It's a good name. I was kind of hoping for something like the Moonshots or something, something just out of the world, and that's kind of
Well,
what this is.
yeah, I even saw satellites. I
Yeah.
saw there was a word, and I don't even want to repeat it. I know Phil Seelig, who is connected with Cuba baseball. He does a lot of Cuban stuff for us, and he's talked to us. He shared a name that I think was a space name in Spanish, but I'm not going to try to pronounce it, and I can't recall it, so I'm not going to sound like the fool on air. But anyways, the thing is, Sugarland were the Skeeters in an independent league. And anytime you're rebranding a team, you want to make it your own, especially if you're part ownership. This is really cool. I actually talked to one of the minority owners of the Skeeters, Kevin Zlotnick, and I was just talking to him about it. And he said, look, he said, when they came in and bought the team, we knew some things were going to be changing, but nobody here was, because I asked him, what did he think about it? Like, hey, what did you think about this? He said, no one really had any personal ties to it. It wasn't like, you know, someone had passed on and it was their legacy that someone was taken away. And he said, the Skeeters have been around, but they haven't been around 30, 40, 50 years. And so
Right.
for the name change to come in, he said it really doesn't bother us either way. We just hope the city embraces it. We hope the city likes it. And so they do have an event coming up on the 29th of January, and Eric and I will actually be. I secured today. We'll be doing a live podcast from Consolation Field on that day, sometime in that afternoon. So we got a little press box reserved, and I'm excited about that. I don't know if we'll get any player interviews that day because I think the Astros media guys may have that cornered, but I know it's like $1 ticket. All the money goes to the Astros Foundation. Hey, what's up, guys? I see some kids saying Coach Chansey. I don't know who's on here, but it says J Tulit. I don't know who that is, but welcome to the show, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. But the Sugarland Space Cowboys. These
Yeah.
Skeeters hats are gonna. I'll wear this like maybe on retro night, right? A
Right.
throwback night. Wear the old Skeeters hat. Oh, it's Jaron. Okay, what's up? Or Percy. We call him Percy, and hopefully they get that dub, tomorrow night. Anyways, before I move on, I do want to say this. The other night, Rip, I came on here and I gave my team credit. My A team is undefeated this week, and our B team actually had won their second game of the season. They're actually in the middle of being a part of the district tournament, and all they got to do
Oh,
is take care
nice.
of business these last three games, and they'll be in. I think if they win two out of their next three, they're in. Three out of three, they're definitely in. And they were like, you forgot to give us a shout out. So I just want to say to the seventh grade 7B East basketball girls, y'all are doing great. I love seeing y'all play every day, play before us. It gets us pumped, it gets us charged. So thank y'all for buying into the system. So that's pretty
Keep
awesome.
grinding. Keep on grinding.
So someone asked me, what is the logo? They haven't revealed that. I don't think they'll reveal any logo or uniforms until you have the reveal party on the 29th. They're going to wait
Yeah.
for it's going to be a big deal. And there were some color variations in that ad that had like almost a Columbia blue and a different kind of orange. And I'm wondering if those are the colors that they're going with. If you look at the graphic, there's a little starburst like a firework in the upper right hand corner, and you go back and look at those colors. That may be the team colors they're going with.
Oh, that's
So
interesting. I'm gonna check that out real
yeah.
quick.
So while you're checking that out, I want everybody to know that there's this great thing. It's called a Built Bar, But here's the thing. It's not just a protein bar. Like most protein bars are chalky. They have way too many calories. They have way too much sugar. I mean, they taste like someone poured protein powder and just put some chocolate sauce on it and you're eating it. It's just not good. This is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar wrapped in 100% real chocolate. And if you're like me and you're trying to get in a routine of eating healthy, of working out's really the tough part. Eating healthy is really where it all counts, because if you have a healthy diet, it maximizes your working out. So the easiest way to do it is grab something that's a snack that's healthy for you that tastes good. Most bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar. I mean, dozens of net carbs. Why do you want to do that to yourself? Treat yourself to the amazing flavors that Built Bar has. They have several Built Bar flavors like salted caramel, cookies and cream, raspberry, peanut butter brownie, coconut almond. The sky's the limit. I'm telling you, if you want it, they have it. So go to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. That's LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. So, Rip, we've talked about the Space Cowboys. I keep wanting to say Skeeters. And we're going to move on a little bit. We're going to move on and talk briefly about this series that is going on in the Dominican, because the Dominican has their series finale, and it's basically Jose Siri versus Jeremy Pena. And I sent you some stats earlier that we were going to look at, and the first game. So it is the Eastern Stars, or Estrellas Orientals versus Gigantes de Ciabo. I hope I did that. I hope I did that justice.
It sounded pretty accurate.
Okay, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
um, muy poquito español for me, but here it is. Estrella won in 11 innings, 5-4, and in that game, Rip, you had who was it? You had Jose Siri, even though they lost, went 1 for 4. He hit a 3-run home run. He had 2 walks, and one of the knocks on Siri has been his plate discipline. Well,
Right.
2 walks and a home run and 4 at bats. That's not bad. That's
No.
not bad at all. Jose Siri is going to be fighting for a position. He's not the starter. He's not going to be the starter. I think Chas McCormick is the starter. I think it's his
Yes.
job to lose unless they sign somebody. Pedro Leon will be a late addition during the season. Jose Siri is kind of the odd man out, I think. What do you think about Siri?
I really think so. It's it's going to be Chas McCormick for now, and then Jake Myers is going to be the everyday center fielder when he becomes healthy. When he is healthy, you know, Jose Siri, he's got a lot of flash. He's got a lot of
He
pizzazz.
does.
He's been doing different things down there in the Dominican this year offensively. You know, being Jose Siri, getting bat flips and getting the team pumped and being
Yeah.
excited. And that's what they do down there in the Dominican. So, but unfortunately, I think for him, he still needs more time to mature, more time to develop, and one day he will be that everyday starting outfielder, whether it is in center field or left or right. But for this current moment right now, going into 2022, it's going to be Chas McCormick, and I think we're going to see Jose Siri as more of a you know day off from McCormick. He'll come in and play center field, but we may see him more on the base path because of his speed.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that I think you definitely keep. Unless you think maybe you can trade him for something. I don't know how much trade value he has. He may not have a ton, but here's the thing. He's one of those guys that you hate to say doesn't have a spot, because he's such a, like, whenever he was at Sugarland, I remember talking to Ryan Posner, a guy that we interact with whenever we sit in the press box. Other guys, they're scouts, they're player evaluation guys, and they say he's basically like a 26, 27-year old, and he's like a 12-year-old in a 27-year-old body. He just
Right.
loves the game. And so in this game also, you had Gustavo Nunez scored the winning run in that 5-4 game. When being anchored in the middle, he went to steal in an attempt to basically play the ball to get the Giants catcher out. Webster Rivas threw the ball badly, apparently sent the ball to left field. That's what basically scored that final run. So Estrellas won 5-4. Now game 2 happened tonight. They didn't have the box score up and ready, but Gigantes came back and won 6-3. Pena was 1-for-4 with 1 hit and 1 run. And you also had other guys like Hans Alonso. You had Christian Betancourt, and you had several guys contributing. And this series is just fun to watch. If you have MLB.TV, even if you don't, you can like go there and like I think it's like $24. You get all of this series, then you get like all of spring training, and you get archived all of 2021. I'm not a big MLB TV app guy because I don't like how they black out the other markets. So that's kind of our wrap. Its series is tied 1-1, and this series, unlike the MLB, is home away, home away, home away. There's only one off day in those 7 games. So that is one of those things. So yes, we will. Yes, the Space Cowboys. We actually talked about that earlier. And what's funny is I kind of retweeted Mark Berman's tweet, and I said, yes, Mark Berman confirmed what I first reported back in June. Yeah, I kind of big leagued him a little bit. I know I'm not a big dog like him, but hey, every once in a while you gotta bark with the big dogs, right?
Absolutely. That's right.
Okay. Yeah. So Jay, we were being asked about a player, Luis Baez. I don't know much about him. I'm gonna have to do some research. I know that Phil Seelig, when he comes back from Cuba, will have some notes on some of these guys. We'll be able to talk about Kenny Gomez, Alberto Hernandez, all these guys that probably have a promising future with this club. And so
I kind of did some just some reading on Luis Baez real quick.
He
was the number 27 prospect in Baseball America. Good upside. I mean, he's a big dude. He's probably about, I think, 6'2".
Okay.
So definitely got a lot of pop, a lot of power. One of the things that he's probably going to need to work on is his defense as an outfielder. But I mean, the sky is probably the limit for him. It just depends on how well he develops. I think he's 18 right now.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are so young. And one of the things we talked about, one of the things we're going to cover with Phil is it's great that we're getting these 16-year-olds and 19-year-olds out of Cuba, but the Cuban Baseball League is really suffering as a result because these kids are defecting earlier and earlier. And so that really is kind of one of those things. Now, I think one of the bigger news items of today that just came up like a few minutes ago before we went on, and I even kind of retweeted about it. And so Carlos Correa announced that he's going with Scott Boras. I have been asking out loud, why is Carlos Correa with a Hollywood agency? Why is Carlos Correa with Alex Rodriguez's Hollywood agency who doesn't see athletes that are current athletes? I'm sorry. A-Rod's a diva. A-Rod is like I get Correa looks up to him, and I don't knock him for that because I probably would too if I was a current, platinum glove shortstop. I mean, A-Rod, despite the steroid scandal, was still one of the best shortstops in the game that we saw in our lifetime growing up. But at the end of the day, I was like, why on earth did you hire a non-sports agency? And I was like, go with Scott Boras. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, wait, no, don't go with Scott Boras. That's bad for the Astros. Bad for the Astros.
As history has proven with Scott Boras and the Astros. So we've had some that have.
True. We have had we've had mixed results, right?
Yes.
I mean, with like Altuve and those guys, I mean, we have had mixed results. So, and I was actually, it was funny. Kevin, the Sugarland Space Cowboys minority owner, asked me today. He said, "Okay," he goes, "since you knew we were going to change our name back in June," he goes, "what is Carlos Correa going to do?" I said, "I wish I knew, but all indications, especially with Boras now, he's going to go for the jugular. He's going to go for the big contract. Boras is not going to hold back. I mean, look what he got for Scherzer. I mean, look what he gets for his guys. I mean, it is unreal the amount of capital he has under him, the amount of players. He also does he have Juan Soto under his wings?
I don't think so. I don't,
Okay, okay.
not yet. I'm sure, I'm sure we'll
Gosh,
find out.
because that dude is gonna make some serious coin when he becomes a free agent. But the
No,
bottom line is this:
actually,
is
uh,
he?
it is. Yeah, Juan Soto
Yeah.
is
Oh my gosh.
represented by Scott Boras,
So I need Scott. I've said this before. I need Scott Boras. I need him to be my agent. I mean,
right?
he could sign me to a $5 million deal. I'll give him like four. I'll give him 4 million of it. I just want 1 million. Like
Yeah,
I'll give him 400. I'll give him 4.5 million. I just want 500,000. So you know, I'm not greedy, brother. I'm on that sweet teacher salary.
right.
And so at the end of the day, though, let me just ask you: if you were to decide right now, because Carlos Correa went with Boris, do you think this knocks the Astros completely out?
Yes, I can say that with full honesty because it's not that it just because Correa is now represented by Boris, but I really don't think that the Astros are going to go after and try to give him what he wants. Unfortunately, it's just not what they do. Now, if they come out and they surprise me, I'll eat my words 100%. But in this case, I really think that he's said what he's had to say, and this is Correa, that he's loved the city of Houston, he's loved the Astros organization, but I really think his time is up. I really think he's going to uh, go after that big contract that is worth more than what Francisco Lindor got, and um, it pains me to say, but I really think that this is the end of the road for Correa and the Astros.
Yeah, exactly. I think it is. I hate to say it because I love Carlos Correa, and I know Carlos Correa loves the city. I know the team loves him, and thinking to see shortstop and second base not being anchored by Altuve and Correa, like when I was at that game, when I was at the World Series game 2, I told my son, I was like, this may be the last time we see these two guys play together. I mean, this is
Absolutely,
huge. This is massive. And so, um, and and this has been my critique all along. I've been talking about how this is a swing and miss if Jim Crane doesn't get this done, kind of like Nolan Ryan was. But I
right?
think it's a lot different than Nolan Ryan because Nolan Ryan, what he was asking wasn't really that much, even in comparison to what was being offered for Nolan Ryan. That was still not bad money. And the owner at the time was just like, no, I'm not gonna pay him. It was like 3 million. It was like 3 million a year, something like
Yeah,
now it's like almost league minimum or league average. But at the end of the day, Carlos Correa is that guy that I think that you almost, I mean, everybody says you have to sign him, but you have to. He's homegrown. And even Kevin said today, he said, how do you not sign this guy? He said the only way you don't sign this guy is if he prices himself out of your market. And a truth that I know for a fact, the Astros have been drafting shortstops since they drafted Correa.
yeah,
They've got a slew of talent. They've got a
mhm,
ton of people in the wings. They're not Carlos Correa. They're not platinum glove players. But who's to say we can't find a diamond in the rough? Who's to say that we can't
exactly.
fill those holes in other places? And some people still feel like this, like Joe Gonzalez. He says right here, Carlos Correa is not worth 300 million. And I will say this, he's not until someone says he is, right?
Absolutely, right.
You're only worth what someone's willing to pay. It's just like when I'm collecting cards, my dad's like, you may have a card that books for 1,000, but someone only pay 500, it's not worth 1,000.
Right.
So we'll see. Carlos Correa is banking on getting paid, like Jay says, for the intangibles, right? For what he brings to the team, for in the postseason, how he took the team on his back. Oh yeah, he definitely has some high selling points. It's who's going to pay it. Is it the Yankees? Are the Cubs going to re up their offer? Are the LA Dodgers going to come out of nowhere? The Los Angeles Angels. So this makes me think, what is the betting line? What is the percentage of him going to New York or LA or the Angels or Houston or Chicago or Seattle or Philadelphia? Well, BetOnline wants to wish you a happy new betting year, and BetOnline remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. It's a new year. There's a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today. Receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use a promo code locked on to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. So to kind of wrap this conversation up, Rip, um, if the Astros don't get, and I want to get your take on this because I know Eric and I have spoken this.
Mm.
Let's say Carlos Correa is gone. They don't really go out and get. Maybe they get Andrelton Simmons. Maybe they don't. Do you see Jeremy Pena as the starter opening day for the Houston Astros if they don't go out and get any other veteran help?
That's a part of me wants to say yes because I want to give Pena the benefit of the doubt. I want to see what he can do, but I don't think he's quite ready yet. That's the issue. Is has he developed enough to be that number one, that everyday starting shortstop that will? I mean, there's going to be a um, the between Altuve and Pena, if Pena is the starting shortstop, I mean, there's going to be that those growing pains,
Yeah,
and and and
exactly.
and shortstop is such a premier position, just not with the Astros, but with all 29 other teams, that you've got to have somebody that has the capability to get in the hole, have depth, be able to range from your left to your right, and be able to do it with relative ease. And there's no doubt, I'm sure Pena can do it. I know he can do it. It's just I don't think he's earned that opening day starting position yet.
Yeah, and I can see that, and I'm going to have to kind of disagree with you there a little bit because I feel like if they don't go and get anybody, I don't think Aledmus Diaz is your opening day starter. I think
Right.
Aledmus Diaz is your platoon starter. And I think because of his injury issues, they still can go out and get someone like an Andrelton Simmons. They can go get a lesser guy who's 1 or 2 years, the veteran, kind of like they did Castro to bring up the catching position.
Right.
Another thing that we haven't really talked about is the catching position. I think you'll see Mike Paparizzi come up. I think you'll see Corey Lee come up. And that catching position is going to be unique. Samuel sits here and he says the Astros offense is taking a step back. That's not gonna be the good for the Astros in October. Pena still needs to prove that he is basically that his small sample size isn't a fluke. And those are
Yeah.
those are all those are all valid points. Um, I just don't see this offense taking a huge step back. I do have to disagree with that point that you made. I agree with some of the others. We had Bregman that was injured. He's coming back stronger than ever. And yeah, you're losing Correa, but how many World Series have we won because of Carlos Correa? Now, playoff games, we've won because of Carlos Correa, but
Right.
World Series. And so at the end of the day, you can't replace the intangibles. You can't replace who he is. And I just don't see them. Eric and I talked about the other night. We don't see them making any other big free agent moves. They're not going to pay Story. They're not going to pay some other shortstop. They're not going to go pay a starting pitcher. They've got starting pitching coming out the butt. I mean,
Yeah.
Jake Odorizzi, I think, is a trade piece. I wouldn't keep Jake Odorizzi. Why? Because I think he's got trade value. I mean, that's why, because you've got a logjam. I would rather get him. I would rather get some relievers in or something like that to basically, or even a serviceable backup at shortstop. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the sky's the limit. Is there a chance that the Orioles are going to randomly trade Cedric Mullins? And is he a guy that
Mhm.
you go look at in a trade rather than having to go pay for a guy like that and get him for a year or two and help out in center field? I mean, we don't know. We're still in the lockout and we haven't talked about this. We'll talk about this soon. Maybe we need to have like a roundtable because
Right.
there's a lot of opinions floating around. There's a lot of people that are not happy with the players. Like people want to side with the players like me, but they're like, I have no sympathy for these guys. Like they're just not getting it done. They're just not doing their job. And have they forgotten about 94? Have they forgotten about the 3 years and after the strike, how baseball took forever to come back? And baseball had such momentum this year, Rip. After
It
the
really did.
2020 season,
Yeah.
you had Shohei Ohtani, you had Vlad Guerrero, you had a lot of a lot of things down to the wire. You had the Braves come back and beat
Yes.
our team
Mhm.
and just do it in crazy fashion with guys that weren't necessarily starters. They were like trade deadline pickups. Their relief pitching really kind of stole the show for the Braves.
Mhm.
Freddie Freeman was pretty much a non-factor in the entire series. Like Dansby Swanson was more clutch than Freddie Freeman. And
Right.
this team comes in out of nowhere and surprises and shocks the world. I
Yep.
mean, that's as much as we love the Astros, that's a great storyline. You lose all that if you shorten the season. You lose all that if you can't come to an agreement. So
Absolutely.
any parting words here, Rip, before we kind of wrap this thing up?
I just really wish, we can get back to, talking more about the off-season baseball. I mean, spring training is supposed to be starting up here in the next couple weeks, and we've got nothing. But, you know, like you mentioned, maybe we can do a roundtable and have a discussion as to, what baseball needs to do to make itself better. There's a lot of things, a lot of ideas. Maybe take a page out of the winter league down there in the Dominican, because those guys are doing stuff that's flashy and it's
Yeah.
exciting. And I really
Oh
think
yeah,
that's,
it is.
I
Yeah,
really,
like yeah, dude. They have like a round robin format. Now I'm not saying you can do round robin for 162
yeah,
games. It's just a month long season, but I mean, you've got to look at something to keep it young, to keep it relevant. And so, with that being said, welcome to minor league baseball, Sugarland Space Cowboys. I'm going to be interested to see what the mascot looks like. And so I've got some thoughts in my head that I won't share out loud because I'm like, Space Cowboy. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know if it's gonna be a person or like a person in a suit. So we'll leave that to the creative people. Rip, you and I got to experience a lot of
mhm,
Skeeters games. Hopefully, this next year we'll get to experience a lot of Space Cowboy games. And
right.
I am getting in touch with people with the hooks this summer, and I'll be doing that, and I'll be in touch with you about that off air, and
Awesome.
maybe we can go down to some hooks games together. We're thinking about going to spring training this year. We'll have to let you know about that. So,
Okay.
Locked On Astros, we're going to try to be everywhere we can. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for subscribing. My name is Htown Wheelhouse, and this is Rip Griffin stepping in for Eric the Man Heisman. Rip, thank you as always. You do a great job. Thank you for what you do. Go tell the people about your website real quick, about your podcast, so they know where to find you.
So you can catch the podcast. It's at Rip Griffin Show on Twitter. Do a live stream baseball podcast. Listen to Locked On Astros first, then come over to Rip Griffin Show. And then also too, I am the founder of the Texas Baseball Report, covering everything baseball related here in the state of Texas, college, high school, minor league baseball, MLB. So we got college baseball coming up. There's a couple good tournaments there in Houston, actually, at the Shiners Children's Classic. Hopefully, we will be there in attendance to catch the number one team in the nation, Texas Longhorns. So there's a lot of things coming up baseball wise, not MLB, but hey, we got college. So be sure to head on over to the TexasBaseballReport.com and catch all the articles that I've got so far.
Yeah, thank you. And check out LarryTheGM.com, where I'm doing some writing, some freelance writing for him, doing some fun stuff over there. Check out all his stuff. Remember to hit the like button, like Jay Roberts says. Whenever you watch any of our shows, not only hit the like button, but share it. Hit share from your phone and like share it to someone's phone. Say, hey man, watch this on your break at work. So again, my name is Htown Wheelhouse. This is Rick Griffin sitting in for Eric the Man Heisman, and we'll be back. We have a special guest coming on tomorrow night. Jimmy Endersby, one of the Astros farmhands who'll be coming up. He was an undrafted free agent, but has a lot of promise and a high ceiling. We'll have that interview for you tomorrow night, coming at 8:15 Central Standard Time. Y'all stay tuned in to Locked On Astros. We're your team every day.